Hello everybody and welcome back to the HowStation, a place for all how-tos and DIYs, and a very happy Valentine's Day to you all. So did you all notice the title of today's video? It says how not to. Yes, because I'm going to show you how not to make what I like to call the melting heart chocolate dessert. Now a few days ago I saw this lovely video here on YouTube in which she made this beautiful ice cream, and then she made the chocolate boxes and she placed it around the ice cream and she poured some liquid onto it, and then that melted the chocolate and revealed a heart. And I thought that was so lovely, and because I was going to make a video for Valentine's Day, I thought that this will be great, so I thought of recreating that. Yes, and I knew that I had 75% chances of failing in it, but then I still wanted to go for it because I had 25% chances of succeeding. So I thought that I should try to recreate it, and what she made, it was on how to cook that. So what Anne made was something truly professional, and I knew that I cannot do something like that. So I used 4 ingredients. I used ready-made ice cream. She made the ice cream. I used a ready-made one, and then chocolate, milk, and some toppings. So that are the 4 ingredients that I used for recreating the dessert that she had made. But being the disaster that I am in the kitchen, I failed at it. So I'm going to show you guys how I made it, and then at the end I am going to tell you what mistakes I made, so that you get to know how not to make this, how not to do this. So make sure that you keep on watching the video till the end, and now let's see how I made the melting heart chocolate dessert. So I used some chocolate, ice cream, a glass of milk, and I was going to use the chocolate topping, but I didn't. I'll let you know why. Then using a double boiler, I started to melt the chocolate. So for that, I took a vessel and added some water to it. I guess that was more, so I just poured some back into the glass. And then I placed my vessel containing the chocolate above it. And yes, my chocolate was at room temperature. I gave some stirs to it, and after 5 minutes, this is what I got. So I was happy with the consistency now. Next, I placed a plate upside down and placed a paper on it. I actually cut a chips packet, washed it properly, and placed that as my paper. Well, I didn't have an aluminium foil, so this is what I used. And now I'm spreading my chocolate onto it, making sure that I get a nice and even layer. And the best way to scrape off chocolate from the spoon is by using your fingers. Well, that's so mean. Well, I let that set for about 10 minutes, and after that I removed it from the freezer, and this is what I had, and I made one more piece. And now using a spoon, I am making lines on the piece. Then I will cut it into 4 almost equal parts using the lines that I just made. You see that piece lying there? Well, that was a part of my disaster. Okay, so now that I have the 4 pieces, I will take my other piece and I will cut its borders. You see how chewy and sticky it is? That is not how it should have been. I carved a heart in the center of it and placed that in the freezer as well to set. Well, after everything was set, I had 4 pieces of almost the same size. Then I had a piece with the heart in the center, which I had to remake because that chewy piece was not what we wanted, and then I had a small piece to cover up the heart. This piece should have actually been the same size of the others, but since I didn't have enough chocolate, I made a small one. And now it was time to stack these up into a box. So I placed a piece flat on the plate. Then I melted one side of another piece by placing it on a hot surface, and I stuck it first on the wrong side and then on the correct one. And then after much efforts of melting and sticking and everything, I finally made my box stand up. Then I took the piece on which I had carved the heart and put it on the top, and then I melted the sides of the small piece, if you can see it, and I stacked it up on the heart so that it could cover my heart. Okay, so after that I took out my ice cream and I tried to cut it into half, but because it was in the freezer for a long time, I had a difficult time doing that. I then carefully took my box and placed it on the ice cream. I kept that in the freezer, and in the meanwhile I started to boil some milk. Well, I was going to add the chocolate topping as I said, but I had these pieces of chocolate from my previous disaster. I didn't want to waste them, so I added these instead of the toppings. Okay, so now my chocolate was nicely melted and the milk was nice and hot. So I took out the ice cream box. Then I poured the hot milk into the glass, and now it was the testing time. And oh yes, it did reveal the heart, but the walls of the boxes fell down. That was not what should have happened. So that is how I failed at it. So the first mistake, well, this video that I showed you was my second attempt. In my first attempt, what mistake I made was I took the chocolate directly from the freezer and I kept it to melt. So it did not melt, instead it turned into those grainy chunky substance which I used instead of the topping in the milk. It turned something into that, and that was horrible. That wasn't going to help me build the walls of the boxes. So then what I did for the second time, what I did was I poured some milk into it. I took some chunks from that disaster that I had earlier made, and I poured some milk into it, and then it melted the chocolate, but then it became that chewy sticky thing that I had carved the heart on, the first one. So it turned into that. So even that wasn't going to help me out. Then the third mistake that I made, then I kept that all aside and I started over again. So then after that, those were my first two mistakes, and the third mistake that I made was calculation. I did not calculate well exactly how much chocolate will I need, and therefore when I was making the walls, when I was spreading the chocolate, I didn't have enough chocolate, so I had to spread it as much as I can. So it created a very thin layer in turn, which turned out, that was confusing. So it turned out that my walls of the box, they became very thin. So when you saw, when I poured the milk onto it, the walls, they fell off. So that wasn't supposed to happen, but because my walls were thin, that is why they just fell off. So my calculation went wrong on how much chocolate will be needed. So if I had more chocolate, obviously my walls would become thick, and that wouldn't happen. So that was the third mistake that I made. And what else? So yeah, so these were the three mistakes that I made. So what did we learn from how not to make this? The first thing is calculation. Make sure that you have enough chocolate so that you can actually make thicker walls, so that they just don't fall apart and only the heart will be revealed. So that, make sure that you have enough chocolate. The second thing is, make sure that your chocolate is at room temperature, or if you are going to just take it out from the freezer and going to melt it directly, it's going to form into grains and chunks and it's not going to melt properly. So that is the second thing. And the third thing is that do not be afraid of failure. I knew that I had 75% chances of failing, but still I wanted to go for it. And it doesn't apply just for doing some art or craft work, it applies to life as whole. You know, like many of times people, or even I myself, we don't do things just being afraid that, what if I fail, or what will people say if I fail in it. I just don't think about what people are going to say, or what if you fail. What, actually you learn a lot when you fail. And yeah, that is what I feel. Like, life is an examination. Every day of life is an examination, and what we actually have to give a new paper every day. So that is what I feel. And the syllabus for our examination is our previous experience. No matter if we failed in life or we have passed in life, our previous experience, it teaches us how to go on and how to go, how to face life. So that is what I feel. I truly believe in it, and I think that failing is okay. Actually, it's okay if you fail, but it is not okay to not try. At least give it a try. No matter if you fail in it, no matter if you succeed in it, try doing it. And if you fail, you learn how not to do it, and if you succeed, you'll always know that, okay, fine, I've done it this way, now I can do it in a better way. So no matter if you fail or you succeed, just don't let the fear of failing stop you from doing what you really love doing. If you want to go for it, and if it is the right thing, yes, and if it is the right thing, remember that if it is the right thing and you feel like, I should go for it, just go for it. And if there is something, there's something pulling you back, like, no, you cannot do it, or no, you'll fail in it, or what will people say, or what will people think if you fail in it, just don't let that fear pull you back. So just go for it. And I guess that's enough of philosophy for today. And yes, the original video on how to cook that channel, I have linked it down below, so that you guys get the correct way, the proper way of doing how to make the dessert, what I like to call the melting heart chocolate dessert. I don't really remember what name had she given to it on her channel, but yeah, I'll link it down below so that you get to know the proper way of doing it. And I hope that you learn from my mistakes I'm sorry. I hope that you learn from my mistakes how not to do it. And if you all enjoyed watching the video and learned, sorry, there was a fly. So, and if you all enjoyed watching the video and learned or something, like how not to do it, or you learned something from my mistakes, then do give this video a thumbs up and comment down below on how you thought today's video was, and subscribe to my channel for some easy and inexpensive, why do I get stuck on this every time, inexpensive how-tos and DIYs. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.